Are you here today? Oh, wait, that's a stupid question, isn't it? Yeah, of course you're here. Maybe the better way to ask this question is, which you is sitting here today? There are three versions of you. Every one of you, there are three versions of you. There's the version that you think you are. There's the version that other people think you are. And then there's the you that God knows that you are. And those three are all different on every single one of us. They're all different. I think it's probably universally true that we don't do a very good job of knowing ourselves. Often it seems that those who claim the loudest to know themselves actually know the least about themselves. What they know, put that in air quotes, what they know is that first guy I mentioned, the person they think they are. And they think that settles it. But that may not be the case. We can't see ourselves honestly, or maybe it'd be more accurate to say we can't see ourselves objectively. And the people around us, they only see portions of us. But God has that X-ray vision. Not that he can see through to your bones, although I have no doubt that he's got them numbered also. I don't think that's a mystery to him. But he can see everything that you keep hidden from yourself. And he can see everything that you keep hidden from everybody else. And yes, he can see everything that you think you're keeping hidden from him as well. Now, that doesn't mean he's some kind of eternal scorekeeper who's just waiting to pounce on any little mistake that you make and say, there, I got you. No, not at all. As a matter of fact, what we're going to see is it's pretty much just the opposite of that. He's not looking for dirt. He's looking for growth. But isn't it ironic? We need dirt for there to be growth. Look in your garden. Isn't that ironic? Our text today completely backs that up. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. David wrote these words. Now, what is his request here? It looks like he's asking God to make sure that he's clean. I mean, if anybody's going to know, right? God. He's going to be the one that knows. So why would David open himself up like this? As we've already heard, most of us actively try to convince God that we're something different than what we actually are. We try to convince him that we're something better than what we actually are, but we can't fool God. But here's David. God, please, open me up, look deep into me, and find everything that's wrong, and then, Lord, fix it. Well, I know we all may say things like this in our prayers. But honestly, do we really want God to search us that thoroughly? In that text, David says, search me, O God, and know my heart. As someone said once, David's going right to the heart of the problem because he knew the problem was the heart. Something that gets lost in this discussion sometimes, we just looked at 2 verses only of Psalm 139. But in Psalm 139, verse 1, David said that. We've got verse 23 up on the top, but verse 1 at the bottom, where David said, O Lord, you have searched me, and you know me. So David acknowledges in verse 1, you've already looked at me, God, you already know me. So why does David ask him in verse 23 later? After he said, Lord, you've searched me and know me, why does he say, Lord, search me and know me? Why? I think the answer to that lies in the difference between these two things, relationship and fellowship. For the Christian, once we are in Christ, our relationship with him is permanent until we choose to change that. We do have that option. But until we change it, it's permanent because God's not going to change that. It's a relationship. It's why he came here. It's why his son died for us. That's the relationship. But our fellowship with him comes and goes. That's the roller coaster we talk about in our personal walk with Christ. Some days, sometimes, some weeks, some months, whatever, we're going really good, and then sometimes we're really struggling. Right? You know, nobody's on that even keel all the time. It comes and it goes. That's the fellowship part of it. And I suspect that sometimes we get these two things reversed. We get them mixed up as to which is which. We think it's our relationship with Christ that's insecure. No, once we are welcomed into his family, he's not putting a bat-wing door on the entrance so we can come and go just at any whim. That's not the way it works. We're his children. His loving, unruly children. Are we not? Both words fit every single one of us very well. But God reached out and he brought us into his family. So he knows us. And just like any other family member, think about your own family, sometimes the kids act out, right? Yeah, that happens. But that doesn't change the relationship. They act out, they're still your kids. Am I right, parents? Sure, yeah. It happens in every family. But that doesn't change the relationship. Our fellowship with him, on the other hand, that might be a different story, and I think that might be what David's caught up in here in verse 23. Because we can affect that connection, that fellowship, if you will, on a daily basis. It's that roller coaster. Verse 1 was talking about the relationship. But verse 23 is talking about fellowship. And David knows that our sin will repeatedly interrupt that fellowship. It doesn't affect the relationship. We're still his children. But sometimes we're that unruly child. Remember James 4:8? That sound familiar? Maybe you'll recognize it when you see it. Come near to God, and he will come near to you. Wash your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. When David wrote Psalm 139, I think he's wanting God to bring his heart, David's heart, to light. He wants God to fix what is stopping the fellowship. It's not stopping the relationship. David knew, I'm still yours. Sometimes, God, I just don't act like it. Can you say the same thing? David said that. David! Think of all the things we know about David. I mean, there's some bad things. There's a lot of good things, too. God said, this is a guy after my own heart. That was David, the adulterer. David, the murderer. God said, he's after my own heart. Sounds like God was willing to accept David as an unruly child sometimes. He didn't break that relationship. David would break the fellowship from time to time, don't you? Sure, we all do. But David realized he didn't really know his own heart. You don't know your own heart. You know your feelings. You know maybe you know certain corners of your heart. Maybe you know certain things. You know what you want your heart to be. You know what you want to pretend that it is. But you don't know your heart. God does. Don't believe me? You think you know your heart? How about this little gem from Jeremiah? The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Wow. Who can understand it? I, the Lord, search the heart and examine the mind to reward a man according to his conduct, according to what his deeds deserve. Do you really want God to expose the real you? You know, that facade that you've constructed? God sees behind it. Maybe you have or have had at some point a huge shade tree in your yard. Maybe an oak, maybe an elm, whatever. And then maybe one day Bob was talking about all the tornadoes. Maybe it was a tornado. Maybe just a strong gust of wind. Maybe just on its own, whatever. That huge tree, maybe it snapped or maybe it uprooted and just toppled completely. And then you saw the problem. The disease, the rot, maybe termites, whatever. Then you saw the problem. You saw what was inside that you couldn't see from the outside. It was all, you couldn't see it until it was too late. This, folks, is why we need not only a relationship with Christ, but we need fellowship with him also. Not just verse 1, but also verse 23. Not just what God knows, but what the stuff that we allow him to bust through. But that begs the question, do we really want him to show us what he finds? Look at that underlined part. David said, test me and know my anxious thoughts. David goes from the heart to the mind in this verse. Know my thoughts, he said. Jesus is the one who said, out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. Remember that? That statement from Jesus lists 2 steps in this process, but it implies a 3rd step. To get from the heart to the mouth, where's it got to go through? The mind. That's the process. Heart to mind to mouth. That's the process. In the mind, we form what David called anxious thoughts. You ever have those? You have things worrying you? Yeah. We know God will test us sometimes. David said that. He asked for it. David said, test me so that you can know what's in me. How have you done on those tests? They draw you closer to him, or do they cause more anxiety? Did David have anything that could have caused anxiety at all in his life? I don't know, like maybe somebody trying to threaten his life or anything. Oh, yeah, he did. And who was that? It was the king of Israel, who repeatedly, he didn't just say, David, I'm going to get you one. No, he threw spears at him, he did all kinds. King Saul did all kinds of stuff to David many times. Yeah, I think maybe David understood what anxious thoughts are. I think he knew how the mind can kind of run away with you a little bit. And he begged God, look in there, Lord, and then tell me what you find. Now, if you ask me, that is a very brave thing to ask. Look in me, Lord, find everything that's in there, and then tell me about it. Because the stuff that God's going to reveal is not going to be the stuff that you think is in there. I know what I want to hear from God, and I know what I believe about myself, but whatever comes to me from God is going to be absolute truth. It's not going to be just what I want to hear. What would God reveal to you about you? Please do not answer that out loud. Remember, you can't hide anything from him. What if he tells you what he found? Will he reject you? Is he going to punish you? I think we can ease our minds about those kinds of fears. We don't need to hide our anxious thoughts from God. You can't anyway. We don't need to be afraid of his retribution when he sees those anxious thoughts, because David finished this. Look at the line that's underlined there now. He finished it by saying, lead me in the way everlasting. You remember that verse from Jeremiah? I should have put it back up again, although I didn't. But it said in there, Lord, the heart, you know what's in there, and you want to reward me for what's in my heart. He didn't say, he used the word reward. He didn't say punish. He said reward. God's not that eternal scorekeeper looking for what he can pounce on. He's looking for good. He wants to find the good in us. Whatever God finds in you, it's not going to destroy your relationship with him. He specializes in guiding wandering souls back to a renewed fellowship. There was a young family that it was moving day, moving into a new house. Not a brand new, a new to them house, okay? But that morning, the husband, his name was Joe. That morning, Joe got notified that there was a series of can't miss meetings at his brand new job. You know, they're moving into a new town. He's got this new job starting, and you got to be here for these meetings. Well, it's moving day. So guess what? His wife, Jean, is stuck as the foreman of the moving men, okay? She has to direct everything, and they got everything moved in, and she knew that Joe was at work. He's in a series of meetings. He can't even be bothered. And she's standing there in the living room, and there are stacks of unopened boxes that all need to be, stuff needs to be put away. Appliances all need to be hooked up. She's got a screaming baby and a 5-year-old who just took a metal toy truck and threw it through the plate glass window. So now there's a big hole, there's broken glass, the wind's howling in. She's standing there looking at all this, and she's thinking, I really need to get hold of Joe, but if I just call him, he's not even going to answer. He's not going to pick up. And how do I explain all this in a text? You know, text messaging, you can go about 3 sentences and then it's lost, right? You know, I mean, it's just the meaning of it, it just gets too complicated. So she's like, I can't text him all this. So she came upon a solution. She just sent him this text. The insurance will cover everything. And he left the meeting and he called home right away. It's wonderful to know that God's loving self will restore us. He searches you, and he sees you, and he seeks you so that he can save you. Do you see what I did there? A lot of S's. He searches and sees and he seeks so that he can save you. And that way he can hold on to you severely and lead you in that way everlasting. We're going to sing our invitation hymn, and the invitation hymn is your opportunity to join David. Lord, search me, know me, find what's in there, show it to me, and then help me fix it. Let's stand, and we're going to sing a very appropriate song, Cleanse Me. Look at these first words of this song.